Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video, it's season 2, episode 8, entitled Saturday Night. I give a full episode recap with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around. I have all of the minute marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. There's a voiceover monologue as we watch members of the Klan run away. New York has 5 boroughs, and out of those, it's said that the Bronx is the most dangerous. The culture of hip-hop was born there, the effect of pressure making diamonds. Greats all hailed from the BX, the Bronx, the Boogie Down. It's also the home of one of the most iconic hip-hop venues, the Fever. Those who couldn't cut it on that stage, their dreams died that night on that stage, no matter what borough. But a crew from Staten Island, the Bastard Borough, at the Fever? Good luck and Godspeed. Bobby and Vine shopped at different record labels, convincing that record recording costs would be cheaper because Bobby does all of his own producing, but none of them are impressed. They argue that it's expensive for airplay, and at best, you have a B-side. Along the way, Power makes his mark as the executive producer, making it known that I'm quiet in the room, but know that I'm always present. One of their last meetings, Hassan feels that he needs to be present for this one because it's all about numbers. 4 people. 4 standing for culture, freedom, righteousness, and peace. Most importantly, they got a meeting with Def Jam, the hip-hop legacy. He even makes it known that his name and his picture will be alongside the greats. For example, next to LL Cool J. It's time to meet the executives, and Hassan stays behind to speak with the receptionist, while Power, Vine, and Bobby talk business. Bobby and Vine emphasize that Protect Your Neck is doing well in the streets, getting really good airplay, and sales are increasing. They've done well as an independent label, but now it's time to move with a major record label and take over the industry. Executive A&R Tracey points out that a song has to make her kitty wet for her to have some interest or enjoyment of a song. Everybody gets quiet, and there's a narration of her expressing that wow. When she mentions anything that has to do with women empowerment or things that they rap about all day, they freeze up. She indulges in their silence and says that Protect Your Neck made her wet. While they're getting good airplay and sales are increasing, there are a few things that they need to work on. The song doesn't have a hook. Who are the other members? We don't even know what they look like. And have they even performed with all 8 of them on stage? 8 people on the stage at one time can be a complete disaster. Power says they perform live at the Fever this weekend, and it sparks a very upsetting moment between Bobby and Vine, but they keep their cool. They don't even know what day or time they're performing, but wing a lie that they're performing tomorrow. There's more narration from Tracey and saying that she's a female A&R and she's used to people giving her BS. Vine and Bobby are worried sick that they can't perform tomorrow, but Power says that he'll make it happen. Bobby says that he'll work on rehearsal, while Vine will find a way to get other execs to show up at this performance. Hassan brags about getting the digits from the receptionist, but learns that it's just the Def Jam main number. Hassan catches the tail end of the conversation, and Bobby stresses to Hassan that he can't tell anyone else, including the members, about this so-called performance at the Fever. Nia and Cherie take a moment to talk, and Cherie is just very surprised and astonished about how she can sew so well. Nia shares that growing up, she didn't think sewing was a big deal, and when she got older, she realized that sewing is very rewarding. It's something that you take your time with. You have a vision of something, and seeing it all the way through the end is rewarding. Cherie talks about how the fellas have a lot of things to do and they're busy and they're getting things done. But that moment where she felt involved, making those calls, it really made her feel important. The phone rings and someone asks Cherie about Wu-Tang performing at the Fever. Later at the barber shop, it's evident that Hassan has told everybody about this performance and tells Bobby that if he didn't want everybody to know about it, he should have told him. So Bobby has no choice but to continue to spread the word. Someone even shows bullet wounds from the last time that they were at the Fever, and Bobby is super chill because he figures that, hey, if we need to bring an army, we are an army. We're Wu-Tang. Power tries to talk to the owner of the Fever, and the owner has heard about this Wu-Tang Clan, and there's been a lot of calls asking about this so-called performance. He's pissed because he feels that it's trying to force his hand. Power wants to know what he can do to get them booked tomorrow, and the owner says he isn't having it. He'll have to wait in line like everybody else. Also, they're booked solid, and to F off. There's a moment of kicking it, and Dennis and Sha thinking they're about to get robbed, but it's actually just some people who are fans of their song. They're even excited to see them perform at the Fever. Sha can't believe that Wu is breaking down beefs, and everybody is starting to just be a little bit more chill around each other. Everyone heads to rehearsal, and Bobby has all of the mics leveled and ready to go. But Dirty wants a wireless mic. It's evident as he starts to rehearse with the microphone that his volume overpowers the levels. He discreetly tells one of the engineers in soundcheck that make sure that when he gets the mic to turn the levels back down. Bobby lets everyone know as they arrive that they have less than an hour to rehearse. He's prepared a set list and everyone needs to take this matter seriously. Vine tells Bobby discreetly that the execs are coming to the performance, but he hasn't heard anything from Power all day. They perform in less than 5 hours, and it's getting crazy with tension, not even knowing if they're booked. Power tracks down Mook and lets him know that maybe he can convince them to get a spot at the Fever because the owner isn't giving him any play. They could use Mook's name in the Bronx. All Mook promises is that he can make a few phone calls, and Power's down with that. As they continue to prepare for rehearsal, Spec says that there's no point in having sound check. It's not even going to be the same sound or the same system at the Fever. I don't even think they have a sound system. Bobby says that their performance is important and they need to practice on being prepared no matter what. If a sound system isn't available, they need to be ready to perform with perfection, whether they're performing for 10 people or 10,000. You guys strolls in late along with Jamel, and Power shows up with the cherry on the top. Power with the Wu-Tang logo. Method isn't there because he has a family matter, but tells everybody that he'll be at the venue. Now it's time for rehearsal. Bobby has prepared the set as follows: Protect Your Neck, Method Man, and they'll close with Can It Be All So Simple. Shy and Dennis are concerned because it's a new song and nobody's gonna know the words, but Bobby guarantees that after tonight, they'll know it. Just when they're about to start rehearsal, a ballet class walks in and the instructor tells Bobby, "I've been paging you all day. Our class has been moved up," which means bad news for the fellas because this is shutdown time of rehearsal and sound check. Mook gets a slot to speak with the owner along with Power based upon Mook's name alone. The owner is hesitant though. He says that he can't let a group he's never heard of headline. It's even too late to change the flyers. Power tries to compromise and saying, well, can he at least put their names on the moniker? Mook apologizes for Power's interruption, but says that he's very eager and thinks that this group is promising, seeing as though they've already talked with label execs. Mook is even confident that it's highly likely they will get signed, and upon a release party, what a better payback than to actually have the party at the Fever. The owner sees it as an opportunity he can't refuse and says that he can squeeze them in before the headliner, but once the crowd starts to chant for the headliner, they've got to get off stage. The ladies are ready for a night out, and Cherie is just happy she's not on baby duty. She didn't tell Dennis she was going because she didn't want him to be worried. I mean, it's in the Bronx, and it's her first time going. Nia worried about how they would skip the line, but Cherie has a plan. She swiped a business card that was on the table. Tonight she's Leanne Canley from Capitol Records, and Nia will be her associate. Tracy narrates about how she's impressed that they're actually booked at the Fever, and sees this whole situation as a win-win, because if they're terrible, they can be a part of her booking department. The fellas are getting ready for the performance, and there's a directorial shot emphasizing the infamous Fang grill of the RZA. As they head on their way in the van, it's quiet as everyone is deep in thought, and Dirty is even strapped, just in case. They arrive at the venue, and the moniker reads of the Four Horsemen, and not only that, the Wu-Tang Clan name is spelled all kinds of wrong. They load in, and Method arrives just in time. Meth even checks to see who's from Staten Island in the line. They wait with the bouncer, but he doesn't believe that all 8 of them are in a group. But Mook has to communicate with the owner that this is legit, and he lets them in. Everyone starts to load in, but there's a metal detector. ODB tells Bobby that, hey, I got a biscuit, and Mook works his magic to make sure that the gun comes through. He even finesses the Wu-Tang Clan sword for the performance. The crowd is thick from Bronx people, and they can feel the tension in the air. Power and Vine don't see the execs, and the clock is ticking. To make matters worse, the security isn't letting people from Staten Island get in. Mook says that he'll handle it. Vine talks to Nia, and she says that she has a surprise. It's a flag with the Wu-Tang logo. Since they're an army, they need to make it known that their territory is wherever they are. While waiting to go on stage, Vine compliments and thanks Mook for not only booking the venue, but taking care of the gun and getting the Staten Island people in. He offers and wants Mook to be their manager, while Power and Vine remain execs. Mook likes that idea. The group before them is booed off the stage, and they're wet with beer and all types of drink. It's a rough crowd, and on top of that, the execs aren't there. Vine tells Bobby that they have to wing some time until they arrive, but Hassan feels that he can wing it. He gets on the stage ranting about how they don't need to fight each other, but rather Whitey. Vine gives the wrap it up signal that he needs to stop, and Dirty continues to say that it doesn't matter what color you are, but to all make a fist of unity together, hold their fist up, and get ready for the Wu-Tang lyrical assassination. They get on the stage and start with Protect Your Neck, and Tracey is pleased of what she sees. She feels that she's witnessing 8 stars. They're killing it on stage, and Vine and Power look on with pure pride and excitement. Now it's time for METHOD, man, and everyone starts to back up, but he tells the rest of the members that, hey, I might be the only ones on this song, but this is our song. And they gather and back him up on the track. We even see that Steve arrives, who's very impressed with their performance. Method surely gets attention from the ladies, and Tracey takes note of that as well. Mook grabs the owner to let him witness this amazing show, and he can't wait to see what goes on from this first impression. Now it's time to close with that last song, and Dennis sees Cherie in the audience and says if anyone tries to talk to his girl tonight, he's going to jail. The track starts, and they kill the track. The audience doesn't know it, but they're vibing to it. By the end of the song, the crowd is shouting, Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang. Now it's time for the Horsemen to try their bets at stage, but instead they're getting beer bottles thrown at them. Nobody wants to hear the headline, and they're demanding more Wu-Tang. It's full circle to the first opening scene that we figure out that Wu-Tang wasn't running from fear of the stage, but literally running from women to get in their van. It's pandemonium. They jump into the van and speed off. There's a directorial depiction on the moniker now that reads, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to F with. Tracey is in her limo heading back, and we hear her voiceover saying that it may have all started in the Bronx, but tonight Staten Island broke the mold. And that is the end of the episode. And now it is time for your favorite part of the video. That's right, my review. Another amazing episode. Absolutely amazing. Now, there's been a lot of comments about people really not liking Lala as an actress. Okay, but I mean, hey, we didn't have any control of that. Okay, she did a good job with what they gave her. Okay, that's all I'll say about that. But the episode was amazing. I loved it. I thought it was wonderful to shine light for the A&R exec at the Time for Def Jam, which was Tracey, and it was important to give her that that point of reference, because there were a lot of execs and a lot of leads when it came to labels that are led by men, and to know about that powerhouse is really important. And her role in having interest in some of the most iconic, legendary artists with Def Jam, and how legendary Def Jam is, we were able to see that a lot of labels really had certain things that qualified them to even be reviewed as a record label. Now things are completely different. This episode showed development of a group, which is more audience connection, meaning that the viewers are understanding more of developing groups. The perfect example is Motown. You have all of this talent of different artists, but are they developed? Meaning, have they perfected performance? It's really, really important. You have the Jacksons, you have the Temptations, you have all of this, but they rehearsed like crazy. You can be very talented, but when it comes to getting on that stage, you have to have organized performance. You have to have understanding of sound. In the previous season, for season 1, I talked about how when he went on tour, how sound check was very important, and how when being in a concert, sound is so important when it comes to echo. And if the artist can't hear themselves, it's a train wreck, because they're starting to hear the echo of the entire stadium. That's why earbuds are so important. The performance earbuds are important. That's why performers wear that, because they have to be able to hear themselves. If you want more information about that, make sure that you comment and say, hey Bunny, can you tag me in the video that you're talking about of that episode? It's of season 1, but I go into detail about how that's very important, understanding your levels. And ODB was very loud on the mic. So when Bobby's talking about levels, you notice that when he started to talk on the mic and scream on the mic, we started to hear high-end feedback, which is that pew, so every person, Bobby understood that every person needed a different level. And speaking of that, you notice that a lot of artists, especially within rap, either some people dub their voices, meaning they're recording more than one performance of them rapping, and they dub it over to make their voice sound stronger. You see some artists that when they grip the mic, they hold their finger underneath their nose, because what that does is that allows more airflow through the mouth directly into the mic, so you don't sound as foggy, or your voice is not lost in this big area. But I talk about sound and how that's important in season 1. But for this episode, it was very important, because the exec says, hey, you're very talented. That's great. But you have a few problems. We've only heard a couple of songs, which is great, but you have this big group. What do they look like? Who are they? You don't have a hook. Yes, Bobby, there's other songs that are B-side songs that have made it, but what else do you have to bring? Because you have to consider the audience. And that was amazing to show that in the script, and also with direction as well. It's really important to know that just because you have talent, that's great, but you have to think about everything that connects to it. If you got on stage and they're all up there just ranting and and everybody's saying all types of stuff, it's going to be a train wreck. So it showed interest. She was very interested, but she says these are issues that no matter what label you go to, they're going to ask these questions. And we talk about being prepared. Bobby says that we're preparing, whether it's 10 people or whether it's 10,000 people, we've got to be prepared. We saw that with them having a sound check at another location and then going to the Fever and realizing it's just some club mics. But with practice, even that little bit or chunk that they had, they realized that they had to have order. They had to let whoever had the verse, whoever was going on, they had to let them know to perform and to give them their space, or it's just going to look a hot mess. We see that now. The difference between perfecting performance in some artists and now it's like 50 people on stage that don't need to be on stage. It's a hot mess. But we see how things have worsened over time and how things were perfected back then, to where it may have been a rough, rugged song, but you could hear everything and you knew what was happening. Business prep. We're seeing more of the business prep perfection between RZA and Vine. Now, when this series first started, a lot of viewers were really, really kind of like, mess with them, where they were just like, why are they showing them when they was in the hood? And why are they showing them when they was younger and for the group? And I explained that it's very important that you have to think about this series being developed as if nobody's ever heard of the Wu-Tang Clan at all. They don't know who they are. They don't know what you want it to be so detailed to where you feel like you're developing an emotional connection with each and every person. And it's also phenomenal writing to have all these different lives going on at the same time and having some sort of fluidity. Are a lot of things that happen in the series 100% accurate? No, but it is a television show. You do have to have dramatics with it. You do have to pull your audience in, and you do have to have the people wanting to come back for another episode, which allowed them to go into a season 2. That's what you want. If season 1 would have just showed them just, with the first song, Protect Your Neck, and a lot of people watching it doesn't know who any of the members are, any of their birth names, it would have been, I think, just a train wreck. It would have been complete trash. And this is how it differentiates between a lot of the documentaries. If you grew up with Wu-Tang Clan, if you heard them growing up, you know a lot of stuff, okay? You have an emotional connection. But this is artistry. We're talking about direction, producing, acting, and we're talking about cinematography that all have to move in cohesiveness or it will be terrible. And they're doing an excellent job of letting it flow really well. Also in this episode, we're underlining everyone's strengths. Strengths meaning, we've talked about this in the previous episode reviews of this season, that everybody has their gift. Mook had the gift in knowing how to, under pressure, getting things done. That is the pivotal thing needed for a manager, okay? Not crushing under pressure, getting it done, looking at the details, making compromises. That makes sense. There's only so much that executive producers can do, and Vine recognized that. There's only so much that him and Power can do. There's only so much they can do when it comes to business, and if it's anybody that understands business from his previous lifestyle or way of life or whatever you want to call it, he had the smarts for that. And they know each other's strengths. They let each other do what they need to do. They kind of put the brakes on, hey, don't say this, I can handle that. Or pardon me if they say this, here's this. We saw that in this episode as well. We saw how roles develop, and we saw how everybody's strength is being used in the correct way. We also saw that there is a difference between how different executives can see you. When Tracy, the A&R from Def Jam, noticed their performance in The Fever, there were other execs that, when Dirty said certain comments about Whitey and all this other stuff, they felt some sort of way. And it's like, okay, are they going to listen to the music? Or are they so offended that they won't be interested? And, it was important to look at a lot of the narration of what Tracy thought and what was going through her mind, because as an A&R, we're getting pulled into her side of the business and saying that these people are talented. You got this and you got that. But I'm looking at the business. What can I do with you? What can I make of this? I know of The Fever. I know of people lying to me, say they're going to do this and do that, but are they going to do it? And the fact that she showed up out of curiosity lets you know that she says, okay, can something be done with this? She's noticing, oh my goodness, they're organized. They got the Wu-Tang flag. They're all performing well. And she's nodding her head, listening to everything, saying, this is it. This is something that can be considered. This is something that can be worked with. It's their performance is not so trash to where it's something that I want to consider, but they came prepared. And it's I think the main pivotal thing in this episode is showing that you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not prepared, it's going to completely wipe out your talent. It's going to completely wipe out what you're doing. And we can use a lot of examples of artists today and look at quote unquote legends. And the number one thing is performance, whether you like the artist or not. If they've perfected their performance and they have longevity and they do it over and over and over and over again, you start to realize that it's perfection of their craft, performance, it's the crispness of it all, and having connection with your audience. And those are the things that create and make legends. Also, labels have changed. The demands are different. If you notice earlier in the episode, they're like, oh, you got only this one song, or oh, you've only got this song that plays this, and it's only a B-side. Like, you can show your age by knowing what B-side is, okay, which is 2 parts of an album. But Nowadays, you don't need that anymore. Sometimes all it takes for you is to have a hit song and for you to have one hit, and that's it. Times have completely changed. And so with that being said, I think it's easier to become an artist now because you have so many platforms to share your talents and to share that with. But once again, you become a legend or build legendary status after you've been consistent. Do it for 20 or 30 years, then we'll talk. If you have a hit song and you're talking trash to some of the greats, you might want to sit down because it takes longevity to become a legend. So they poured their hearts out on stage, and I could only imagine the energy and everything from that night. They were probably in a surreal moment at the time of performing. I wish I had them all here to talk with me and I could interview them and say it was probably an out-of-body experience for you guys, because you go from dreaming it and thinking about it and thinking it's not real to recording in the studio to hearing it on the radio and now performing and executives watching you, and then have a complete pandemonium after that. I can only imagine how much of an out of body feeling that they had after that. And just in life in general, people can think, wow, I have these dreams and I have this moment. Now what do I do with it? And without a doubt, the rest of the season will be what's next. And are their hearts and their minds prepared for it? And them taking us on a journey of emotionally understanding what's next. So let me know what you think. Subscribe to this family-friendly channel. I love you guys so much. And stay tuned. We got so much more that's coming next week. And actually today we have the new season of the Ready to Love dating reality show. So tune in for that. If you have not watched the previous seasons, I got you. You just go to the playlist and check that out and binge watch so you can catch up with us and, get up to speed about what's going on, the fluidity of the show and how that works. We also have the final season, you guys, of HBO's original series Insecure. We have that coming up, and the debut of the series Queen, starring Brandy Norwood, a group that broke up and now they're getting back together to reclaim their name as artists. So stay tuned and make sure to follow me on Instagram so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next, and also so you can see what's going on in my personal life, as well as I keep you all posted with that. If many of you don't know what I'm on the journey of doing, you need to follow me on Instagram, okay? So if you see me on TV one day and you're like, wait, how did that happen? Then you didn't keep in touch with me on Instagram. You didn't keep up with what I'm doing. But in the meantime, take care of yourself and each other. Make sure to comment and like this video. Share this video, you guys, so we can get more standpoint on YouTube. In the meantime, in between time, take care of yourself. Bye.